Hey guys, my name is Nicole. I run Claude Training and ClaudeForEveryone.com, and I've had a couple of questions, and a lot of them are just how do I get started with Claude? So I'm going to give you a 5-minute breakdown. What is Claude? Why is it better than some of the other LLMs? When to use it, how to use it, and an overview of the UI. So let's get started. All right. Claude. So the first thing that you'll want to do is go to Claude.ai and create an account. So Claude.ai is conversational. That means that you can open any chat, just like ChatGPT, and say, "What should I do today?" And it will respond. Or you can say, "How is the weather in Lisbon?" All right, so yes, it's conversational. That's what that means. So when you hear Claude.ai or Claude Conversational, that's what we're talking about. As you can see here, I'm on the free plan. You can be notified when Claude responds. It's a really cool feature. And it can give you cool things like diagrams, SVGs, things that you can even download. So really cool stuff. And that's just the beginning. So Claude is a conversational AI. It is an LLM, very similar to others you might have heard, like ChatGPT or Gemini. This one is specifically created by Anthropic. Anthropic was created by two people who used to work at OpenAI, aka ChatGPT, and were concerned about ethics and AI and the future of AI in the world. And that is one big reason why I focus on Claude. All right, now let's move on to the UI here. So I'm going to make my face a little bit smaller, and we're going to look around at this UI. So you see you have various things over here. What we just did was a chat. You go into new chat, you can just type away. You can ask questions. And this gets you only so far. And this is what a lot of people use it for. And this is basically a glorified Google search, basically. And then there are different models which we are not going to worry about in this video. There's also things called extended thinking, which is really awesome if you want to do deep research. We're also not going to talk about that. There's also voice modes. So if you wanted to talk directly to Claude, you could do that. We're also not going to do that in this one. We're just going to talk about the UI. So the number one thing that I suggest doing whenever you set up a Claude project is going and looking at your settings. So going to your settings, let's take a look. You can put in your name, obviously, your work function, like you can say personal preferences, and I'll give you some examples in the comments of things I use here, but I say keep responses short. Don't use fluff. Please get to the point. Push back against bad ideas. Um, that's just an example. And if you notice that I wasn't typing, that's because I'm using another tool called Whisper, which I'll drop in the comments as well. But anyways, this is where you'll put your preferences. Do you want it to be very creative? Are you writing children's books? Or do you want it to be strategic? Do you want it to get to the point? Use bullet points where necessary. Use diagrams as frequently as possible. Only output Microsoft artifacts. I only use Microsoft. I don't use Google. So I am just putting these in here, off the cuff. This is not a scripted video. There are much better things to put in here, but these are your personal preferences, and you can learn more by clicking this link. And this, again, will apply to all conversations depending on which project they're in. Other things, do you want to get notified when Claude responds? You can change all of these things here. Take a look. Very interesting. You can go look at your account, where you're logged in. Privacy. You can export your data if you want. Do you want to share chats? Do you want to allow memory? I strongly suggest turning on memory. Memory makes it so you're not just talking to a chat bot, who forgets after every time that you say something, they build memory and they learn about you. And this is how you train the LLM so that you get the outputs that you want. So make sure you turn on memory unless you have very serious privacy concerns, which, especially if you're on enterprise version, you would not. Tool access. You want to give tool access when needed. You AI-powered artifacts. You probably want to keep these things on. Moving over here to connectors, you can connect things like Google Drive, Gmail, Google Calendar, and then if that's not enough, you can connect so many more tools. So let's see. Let's see, browse connectors. There we go. So Anthropic Claude is changing their interface so much. Sometimes things change. So if something's not exactly where it is when I show you in this video, take a look around, Google it. It's somewhere. They may have just moved it. So connectors. Look at all these things that you can connect to Claude. Do you use HubSpot? Do you use Figma? Do you use Gmail? Do you use Google Calendar? Microsoft. There are a million different connections that you can make. And so you can do things like, hey, create a calendar event at this time on this date, and it will do it directly from here. And that's what the connectors do. All right, so now that we've taken a little bit of a look at the user interface, there's something else called skills here, which we'll get to later. But going back, so we have chats, we have search where you can search through your chats, we have customize where we just were, and then what I like to do is go up and open this, use this little toggle here, and this shows you all of those things. So you don't just see the little icons, you can see chats, projects, artifacts, codes, starred, recent, etc. So highly recommend toggling this guy on and off. It's much easier to see what you've got going on. Today I want to talk quickly about, we just mentioned chats. You can have one-off chats. The big unlock here, one of the biggest unlocks, is projects. Creating projects is basically creating a custom Claude instance. And so it remembers everything that you tell it in there, again, if you turn on the memory. So you can create what I like to do is a strategic advisor. I like to create, it's basically the operational brain of my entire business. I put everything in there about what I'm doing, strategy. I put docs in there. I help it create documents for me. It creates PDFs. It creates designs. It can create websites. And it's all contained to the information that I know, I give it. So if I do this over time, I use my strategic advisor. Here's an example. I created a strategic advisor for a fake company called Greenline Landscaping. So in Greenline Landscaping, so this up here is not too important. You can put kind of whatever you want. That's for your own knowledge, so you know what your project's about. You can see up here, you can edit details, you can archive, you can delete, you can star, which I highly suggest your important projects starring, puts them right there. And then you can see the memory, which will start to build over time. So memory, let's say you meet a new friend, right? Their memory about you is 0 because you haven't had any conversations yet. Once you start talking and building and interacting with your project, with Claude, the memory will start to show up here, what it knows about you. And the really cool thing about memory is you can go in and change it. So for a while, for an example, I had a project, a strategic advisor, that kept being like, oh, your business partner, who actually happened to be my ex-boyfriend. And I said, hey, forget that from memory, and then it was never mentioned again. So memory is built by what it knows, but you can also go in and edit it, either in the chat specifically, or by going in and editing memory. All right, so again, we are in a Claude project. We have our the threads, the chats that we've already had in our Claude project here. We have instructions. This is where you put how you want the project to act. Do you want it to act like a strategic advisor? Do you want it to push back on your bad ideas? Do you want it to focus on revenue? Like, what do you actually want it to do? What is your business? Give it some intel, give it a role, give it behavior, tell it when to be direct, tell it what not to do, tell it how to format. So this is just a basic example of my instructions. You'll also want to add files, so meaningful things to your project. So maybe your Q1 goals, your pricing services, your SOPs, what a proposal looks like. You don't want to overbloat your files, but this is where you put the things that you want Claude to be able to reference. Now let's pretend the strategic advisor is an employee of mine. I just hired a strategic advisor, right? I have a business called Green Line Landscaping, and it's their first day. First day, I want to be like, hey, these are your instructions. This is what the business does. This is what your role is. This is, how you act. This is what I want. This is what I expect from an employee, from my strategic advisor. Okay. Now they're like, okay, I know my job, but what do they know about Green Line Landscaping? Nothing. That's whenever you give them basically a whole folder full of all of your documents, everything that's important to your company, and you upload it here. And there's a bunch of different ways that you can upload. Google Drive is what I would suggest. You can also upload from device. These are more things that I go into in my course at claudeforeveryone.com. But yeah, memory, instructions, files. Basically, I just hired a strategic advisor. They already know who they are. They know a lot about my business. And then there's even further, you can say, give it skills. So now you have this strategic advisor, and then you say, you know what? Every time I want to write a scope of work for my Green Line Landscaping, I have to go, look at my template and then fill it in with everything that I know about my new client. It takes about 30, 45 minutes. I have to save it to the right place and then send it to my new client. Well, guess what? You can create a skill called Scope of Work Generator, give it your template, give it maybe your transcript from your call or just a little bit of information or your email, basically, your email thread, and say, write me a scope of work. And that skill will write you a scope of work in 3 minutes or less. So that's taking a 45-minute task and turning that into 3 minutes. And that's what skills do. And there's so much more you can do with skills. You can have it create websites for you, PDFs, flyers. You can help you write emails, LinkedIn, Instagram posts. Like, the possibilities are really endless once you really understand. Okay? So now we have a really good idea. We know memory, instructions, files, skills, chats. And then you can go in, you can also remove from project, okay? You can change the project directly from here. You can star specific threads. And when I say threads, I mean chats. And chats and threads should usually always live in a project like this. And you can rename it. So one thing that I do every day, I have a skill called Let's Do Our Monday Check-In, right? I don't have this skill built into this demo project yet, but if you take my course, you'll see what it looks like in action. But let's do our Monday check-in. It'll check my database, it'll check my CRM, it'll check, eClinicalWorks or whatever it is, any tools that I'm using that I'm connecting, and it will give me, whatever I want, okay? So that's a thread. Let's say our thread should be, what should I do Monday morning, right? And you know what? It doesn't matter if you spell things wrong. It really understands, okay? So this is now, it went. Claude just went It looked at its role. It said, I'm a strategic advisor. My role is to advise Nicole on her business. Here's what I know about her business. Looks at my project instructions. When I say, what should I do Monday morning? It looked based on my Q1 goals, based on those knowledge files I gave it. This is what it tells me. Like, just doing this, and we already have this. We don't have any skills at all, right? Okay, so now, all right, let's say we go through this, we can keep going. Well, what should I do about Jake? You know, you can just keep asking questions. You don't need to write a prompt like you are writing an essay. You can say, what's your advice on how to handle that? You know, something like that. Or you can even go into, I mentioned the deep research, extended thinking. There's really a lot more to learn that can really 100 times your productivity, but I can't get into all of that in this demo. Anyways, back to our strategic advisor. All right, so let's say every day I run this check-in, like, what's my Monday morning plans? Another thing you can do, which I like to do, rename Monday morning plans. Review employee status, because that's basically what we did in our Monday morning plans. All right. That's everything you need to know to get started with Claude. It is an amazing, amazing thing. We didn't even cover artifacts. We barely covered skills. We haven't covered cowork. We haven't covered Claude Code at all. We haven't covered what good instructions look like. There's so much more to learn. And in 3 short hours, you can learn all of it. Have a amazing working strategic advisor or organizer, or I forget, a strategic advisor project, organizational brain, that's what I like to call it. That is the start of all your other projects and skills and threads and everything. And the more you use it, the more you train it, the more that you teach it to speak like you or think like you want it to, the more benefits you get. So, anyways, that's enough to make you dangerous with Claude. ClaudeForEveryone.com. Email me, Nicole at ClaudeForEveryone.com. Visit ClaudeTraining.com if you want to learn more about classes. But take it away, baby. You got this. And now is the time to learn AI. And Claude is the one to do it with. This is whether you're starting a new business, you're an entrepreneur, you're leveling up your 9 to 5, you just want to learn AI. This is where you're getting started. Awesome. Can't wait.